How many men have fallen, not by the strength of their enemies, but by the treachery of their friends? Betrayal is the silent dagger, striking when trust is highest. If you fail to see the signs, you invite your own ruin. I am Niccolò Machiavelli, and I speak to you of survival amidst men who are fickle, selfish, and deceitful. In this discourse, I shall reveal 3 warning signs by which you may recognize those destined to betray you. Know them, and you shall not be easily undone. How many men have been undone, not by the armies that marched against them, but by the single hand of a supposed friend who turned traitor? Betrayal is not a thunderbolt that announces itself from the skies. It is the silent dagger that glitters only when it is already at your throat. The greatest danger in life is not always your declared enemy, but the one who walks beside you, the one who eats at your table, the one who smiles and speaks words of loyalty while quietly plotting your destruction. And so the question becomes, how does a wise man, or even an ordinary man who values his survival, detect the seeds of treachery before they grow into fatal weeds? This is the problem we shall confront, for if betrayal is inevitable among men, then wisdom lies in knowing how to recognize its warning signs before the blow is struck. Too many fall because they confuse friendship with loyalty, and because they believe that a fair face and a pleasant word are proof of good intention. Yet history shows again and again that kingdoms have been lost, rulers toppled, and even common men ruined not by their open foes but by those who swore fidelity. If you do not arm yourself with vigilance, you shall become as those victims, blind to the danger that grows closest to them. Consider this truth: men are not naturally faithful. They love when it profits them, and they abandon when the scales of advantage tip elsewhere. The ancients knew this. The princes who survived long knew this, and even in our own time, men who trust without suspicion pay dearly for it. A ruler who entrusts his throne to untested companions soon finds himself overthrown. A merchant who leaves his fortune in the hands of flatterers discovers his coffers emptied, and a man who gives his secrets to envious companions wakes one day to find his own schemes betrayed. Betrayal is a constant companion of the human condition, but though you cannot erase treachery from the hearts of men, you can learn to see it before it strikes. This is what I, Niccolò Machiavelli, will reveal to you. 3 signs, 3 shadows that precede the dagger. If you recognize them, you place a shield between yourself and ruin. Think for a moment of those who sit near you. Ask yourself, who among them speaks too sweetly, whose tongue is dipped in honey but conceals venom? Who among them shifts his allegiance as easily as the wind changes direction? Who among them hides envy behind the mask of friendship, smiling as he watches your rise while secretly praying for your fall? These questions may seem harsh, but they are necessary, for in politics, in business, in life itself, the man who neglects them invites destruction. The world is not ruled by sentiment but by calculation, and those who fail to calculate are calculated against. Let us begin, then, with the first sign, the flatterer. Beware the one whose praise flows endlessly, for such a man does not love you but seeks to use you. His words are not mirrors of truth, but instruments of manipulation. He will praise your wisdom to dull your judgment. He will praise your strength to blind you to your weakness. He will praise your generosity so that you may give what he desires. He appears a friend, but he is in truth a thief, and he robs not with violence but with words. The great rulers of old dreaded flatterers more than assassins, for the assassin may strike once, but the flatterer strikes every day, bending the will of his master until he is weak and vulnerable. And once you are weakened, the flatterer will not hesitate to abandon you, leaving you exposed to your enemies. Mark this well: the flatterer is never truly on your side. His allegiance is to his own advantage. He will whisper in your ear not what is true, but what you wish to hear, for he knows that men delight in their own reflection. And when you rely upon his counsel, you walk willingly into a trap of your own making. Do not mistake him for harmless. His poison is subtle but deadly. The wise man, therefore, seeks not those who flatter, but those who dare to contradict. For only in contradiction is there honesty, and only in honesty can one avoid the snares of treachery. Yet how many rulers, how many leaders, how many ordinary men fall, because they prefer the comfort of sweet words to the hard iron of truth. They surround themselves with flatterers, and then wonder why betrayal finds them easily. Learn from their folly. The man who flatters without ceasing is not your servant, but your enemy in disguise. Thus, the first warning sign of betrayal is revealed. Beware the flatterer, for he is the serpent coiled at your feet, waiting only for the moment when your guard is down. Recognize him, and you save yourself from ruin. Ignore him, and you invite your destruction. Fortune is the true test of loyalty. When the winds of success blow in your favor, you will find yourself surrounded by companions, allies, and supposed friends, each eager to share in your triumph. They will speak of brotherhood, of loyalty, of standing with you until the end. Yet observe carefully, for it is not your person they adore, but the light of your fortune. These men are not bound to you by duty or affection. They are bound only by advantage, and when that advantage shifts, when fortune begins to falter, you will see their true nature revealed. Such men are the opportunists, and their loyalty is not loyalty at all. It is a contract with fortune herself. An opportunist is easily recognized if one is not blinded by vanity. He clings to you in your hour of prosperity, for he believes that your star will carry him higher. He dines at your table, boasts of his closeness to you, and parades your victories as though they were his own. Yet the moment your strength diminishes, he is the first to abandon you. He will walk away quietly at best, or at worst, he will kneel before your enemies, offering them the very knowledge of your weaknesses that you once trusted him with. He has no allegiance except to success. To him, fidelity is meaningless, for his God is gain, and his devotion lies with whoever appears strongest in the moment. Think of the man who cheers loudest in your triumph. Watch him not when you stand on the mountain, but when you stumble in the valley. The opportunist cannot endure misfortune. He does not know the virtue of constancy, for constancy requires sacrifice, and sacrifice does not serve his appetite. He measures every relationship upon the scales of profit and loss. And the moment you weigh lighter than another, he will shift his allegiance as swiftly as a merchant exchanges coins. Do not mistake his eagerness in good times for loyalty. His cheer is a mask, and behind it lies only calculation. History provides countless examples. Consider rulers who were celebrated in victory, adored by allies, surrounded by supporters. Yet when their fortunes reversed, when war brought defeat or wealth diminished, these same allies vanished like mist under the sun. Some fled to the enemy's side. Others turned rebels themselves, each claiming they were never truly bound in loyalty, but only compelled by opportunity. The opportunist is dangerous because he does not declare himself until the moment of need. When you are strong, he pretends to be yours. When you are weak, he reveals that he was never yours at all. Let us reflect more closely on how the opportunist behaves. He will be first to arrive when the feast is abundant, yet first to leave when the table grows bare. He will offer praise and service while you prosper, but when misfortune strikes, he will be absent from your side, or worse, present at your downfall, aligning himself with those who seek your destruction. He survives by adapting, like a chameleon that changes color with its surroundings. Do not be deceived into thinking his adaptability is intelligence. It is cowardice dressed as cleverness. Such men cannot be relied upon in war, in politics, or even in friendship. For they love not you, but only the rising of your fortune. You may ask, how then shall we detect the opportunist before he reveals himself in betrayal? Observe his conduct in small matters, where no great advantage is to be gained. Does he remain constant when no reward is present? Does he keep faith when loyalty costs him something small? If he abandons even in trivial times, imagine what he will do when the weight of misfortune presses upon you. The man who flees at the smallest inconvenience will surely abandon you when storms rage. It is tempting to believe that the opportunist can be tamed, that you can buy his loyalty with favors or bind him with promises. But this is a dangerous illusion, for as easily as you bind him with rewards, another can unbind him with greater ones. You may think him secure today, but tomorrow a stronger hand will purchase his service, and he will depart without hesitation. This is the nature of opportunists. They are merchants of loyalty, selling it to the highest bidder, never keeping it for long. To depend on them is to build a fortress on shifting sand. Do not think this danger is limited to rulers and princes alone. The common man too must guard against opportunists. In business, in friendship, even within families, there are those who attach themselves only to your prosperity. They are generous in your wealth, but absent in your poverty. They will call you brother when you succeed, yet will speak of you as stranger when you falter. Such companions are a greater threat than enemies, for at least the enemy declares his malice openly. The opportunist, cloaked in false loyalty, wounds more deeply because his betrayal comes when you are most vulnerable, when you need support most desperately. The wise man, therefore, must always test the loyalty of those around him not in times of abundance, but in times of scarcity. Fortune is the crucible of faith, and only in hardship is the true companion revealed. Trust not the man who has never been tested in adversity, for his loyalty is still unproven. The opportunist thrives only in sunlight. When darkness falls, he disappears, and when dawn returns, he will pretend he was with you all along, eager once more to share in the spoils of your recovery. Among the many poisons that corrupt the hearts of men, envy is the most insidious. It does not strike openly like hatred, nor does it disguise itself with honeyed words like flattery. Instead, it festers in silence, concealed behind the mask of friendship. The envious companion may sit at your side, may drink your wine, may clasp your hand, yet all the while his heart burns with a secret fire. He smiles at your victories, but each triumph of yours is a wound to his pride. He laughs at your success, yet in the chambers of his mind, he plots for your fall. Such a man is more dangerous than the enemy at the gates, for the enemy declares himself, but the envious friend hides his malice until the moment of betrayal. Consider the nature of envy. It is born not from poverty but from comparison. The envious companion does not despise you because he lacks. He despises you because you possess what he covets. Perhaps it is wealth, perhaps influence, perhaps the admiration of others. Whatever it may be, it becomes to him an intolerable sight. He cannot rejoice in your elevation, for every step you climb feels to him like a step pressed upon his chest, and though his lips may praise you, his heart curses you. He may sit at your banquet, but the sweetness of your feast is bitter in his mouth. His envy grows like a shadow, silent, constant, and stretching longer with each of your successes. You must understand that envy transforms a companion into a conspirator. The envious man waits patiently, watching for your stumble, and when the moment comes, he is swift to strike. He may betray your secrets, he may align himself with your rivals, or he may whisper against you in the ears of others, corroding your reputation. Unlike the opportunist, who abandons you openly when fortune fades, the envious companion does not flee. He remains close, drawing near under the guise of loyalty, so that he may better deliver the blow. He desires not merely to depart from you, but to see you diminished. His soul is not content until he has pulled you down from the place that torments him with its height. Observe carefully those who surround you when fortune smiles upon you. True friends will rejoice in your rise, but the envious companion cannot hide the flicker of resentment in his eyes. Watch his smile. Is it warm or is it strained? Listen to his praise. Does it flow freely, or is it grudging, as though forced from him by duty? Notice how he speaks of your achievements. Does he celebrate them, or does he diminish them with subtle comparisons, as though reminding you that your triumph is not so great? Envy is a master of disguise, but even the finest mask will sometimes slip, and in those small slips, the truth is revealed. History is written with tales of rulers destroyed by envious companions. Great generals, celebrated by their victories, were betrayed by fellow officers who could not bear their glory. Princes who shared their power with close advisors found daggers in their ribs, not from enemies abroad, but from men who could no longer tolerate their master's ascendancy. Even among common men, envy breeds treachery. The prosperous merchant finds himself sabotaged by his partner. The skilled craftsman is undermined by his own apprentice. The envious man is relentless, for he does not seek profit, as the opportunist does. He seeks only to see you brought low. His satisfaction lies not in his own gain, but in your loss. Know this: the envious companion will often cloak himself in gestures of loyalty. He will act as if he supports you, not because he loves you, but because proximity gives him the best vantage point to wound. He will never declare his malice openly, for to do so would reveal his intent too soon. Instead, he whispers, he schemes, he waits. He will not strike until the moment is most advantageous, and then his betrayal will cut deeper than any enemy's sword. For it is one thing to be struck by an open foe, but it is another to be undone by a hand you once trusted. Beware also of how envy spreads. One envious companion can corrupt an entire circle, poisoning others with whispers and suspicions. His resentment infects those who are weak, drawing them into silent rebellion against you. Where once you thought you had allies, you may discover a gathering of conspirators, united not by ambition, not by gain, but by the single desire to see you fall. Such is the power of envy. It forges alliances not out of loyalty, but out of hatred for your success. It is tempting to dismiss envy as harmless, as nothing more than soreness of spirit. But to do so is to invite ruin, for envy rarely remains idle. It hungers, it waits, it seeks its opportunity. And when it finds the chance, it acts without mercy. The envious companion is patient, because his goal is not merely to leave you. It is to destroy you. Therefore, one must remain vigilant. Look closely at those who smile too stiffly when you succeed. Watch carefully those who are quick to remind you of your failures in the midst of your victories. Notice who grows silent when your name is praised, for in these signs lie the seeds of betrayal, waiting only for the moment to bloom. Thus we arrive at the matter that concerns every man who wishes to survive among companions, rivals, and allies: vigilance. For betrayal is not some rare calamity that strikes only kings and princes. It is the constant shadow of human affairs. It is found in the courts of rulers, in the chambers of merchants, in the councils of generals, even in the homes of ordinary men. Wherever trust is given, the possibility of betrayal follows like a wolf stalking the flock. To live without suspicion is to live exposed. To trust blindly is to place your fate in the hands of those who may one day decide that your misfortune is their advantage. The world is not shaped by loyalty, but by interest, and he who forgets this truth will one day awaken to ruin. You have now seen the three forms in which treachery most often hides itself. The flatterer, who binds you with honeyed words until your reason is dulled. The opportunist, who worships not you but fortune, and abandons you the instant your star begins to fade. And the envious companion, who drinks with you, laughs with you, and yet secretly prays for your fall. These are not phantoms of imagination. They are present in every age, in every circle of men, in every level of society. Some encounter them in the halls of power, others in the marketplace, still others at their own tables. To ignore their presence is to deny the nature of man himself. Many prefer to comfort themselves with illusions. They say, "My friends would never betray me. My companions are loyal. My allies are steadfast." Such words are sweet, but sweetness is no safeguard against poison. Did not countless rulers once believe the same, only to find themselves undone by those they trusted most? Did not merchants fall into ruin because they placed faith in the very partner who envied their fortune? Did not generals lose battles because those around them shifted allegiance in the hour of need? History is a graveyard filled with the bones of men who mistook appearances for reality. Trust without examination is folly. Faith without vigilance is an open door to treachery. It is not cruelty to suspect. It is wisdom. Men deceive more often than they remain constant. They are bound to you only so long as it suits their advantage. And yet, one must not fall into despair. For though betrayal is ever present, it is not invincible. The wise man can protect himself. How? By learning to discern, by testing loyalty not in the light of prosperity, but in the darkness of adversity, by watching carefully for the marks of flattery, the shifts of opportunism, the silent glances of envy. These are the small cracks in the mask, and once you see them, you know the face beneath. Do not imagine that betrayal always comes suddenly. More often it grows slowly, in whispers, in glances, in subtle words. A friend's laugh that seems strained, a partner's silence when he should speak in your defense, a companion's eagerness to remind you of your weaknesses. These are not meaningless details. They are warnings. The man who trains his eye to notice them will rarely be caught unprepared. The man who ignores them will walk blindly into his own downfall. The fault, then, lies not only with the betrayer, but with the one who refused to see. Let us consider what must be done. If you are surrounded by flatterers, remove them or silence their tongues, for their poison spreads quickly. If you are surrounded by opportunists, bind them with necessity, not trust, for they will never remain of their own accord. If you are surrounded by envious companions, do not place power in their hands, for their envy will eventually turn into treachery. This is not the counsel of cruelty, but of survival. He who governs without caution is like a man who builds his fortress without walls. Sooner or later, the enemy will enter, and he will wonder why he did not see the weakness sooner. You may believe that to live in suspicion is to live without peace, but the opposite is true. To live without suspicion is to live always on the edge of ruin, for betrayal may strike at any moment. To live with vigilance is to live prepared, and preparation is the only true safeguard. The wise man does not abandon trust altogether. He simply tempers it with scrutiny. He does not reject companionship, but he tests it constantly. He does not despise allies, but he knows they are allies of interest, not of soul. In this way, he arms himself not with weapons, but with foresight. In the affairs of men, the greatest victories are not those won on the battlefield, but those won in the silent wars of loyalty and treachery. To defeat an army may grant you a kingdom, but to defeat betrayal may save your life. Many have conquered nations only to be undone by a single traitor at their side, yet many have endured storms and risen again because they knew how to see the signs. Remember, then, that betrayal is not a matter of if, but when, and though you cannot erase it from the hearts of men, you can ensure that when it comes, it does not find you blind. In the end, the lesson is clear. Betrayal is not the exception, it is the rule of human dealings. Men are loyal only so long as loyalty serves them, and the wise man prepares himself for this truth. You have seen the three faces of treachery: the flatterer, whose honeyed words weaken your judgment; the opportunist, whose loyalty belongs not to you but to fortune; and the envious companion, whose hidden resentment sharpens into the dagger of betrayal. To ignore these signs is to invite your own destruction. But to recognize them is to arm yourself with foresight, to govern not by illusion, but by reality. Trust where you must, but test always. Keep your eyes sharper than the smiles around you, for survival does not belong to the most trusting, but to the most vigilant. And he who sees betrayal before it strikes is the one who cannot be easily undone.